Hi guys and welcome to the video. So I just got done watching the Orville season 3 episode 8. Spoilers ahead, spoilers are coming. I'm going to talk about some of the things that I liked in this episode, hence spoilers. So you have been warned. Now, this episode is an hour and 26 minutes long, and it felt like an hour and 26 minutes. However, it felt like an hour and 26 minutes of my life that I was happy to spend watching it. It was a superb episode in my opinion, and it is just my opinion. You can agree, you can disagree, it's up to you. However, I sat there watching this episode and was thoroughly entertained. Now, this episode delivered a lot. It delivered some moments of joy, some moments of sadness, some quite shocking moments where it made me flinch in my chair, which I always appreciate from a show. It's not just doing it for the sake of doing it. It's doing it to show you the gravitas of what is actually happening within the episode. One thing that I have noticed with the Orville is they're not afraid to spend money on visual effects. I've said in previous videos that some of the effects can get a little, what I like to call, janky. Okay, some of it is a little bit, looks a little bit cheap. But this episode seems to have spent quite a lot of money on visual effects. The visual effects in the Orville are, I don't know whether you noticed this as well. It's bright, it's vibrant, there's a lot of colour, there's a lot of feeling and love and care and attention behind what they produce visually on the show. The ship's very bright, the hallways are very bright, it has a very next generation feel. A lot of people have mentioned this before, but this show seems to get it when it comes to what a sci-fi fan is looking for. Certainly the older school sci-fi fan, you know, it has a positive attitude about space and space exploration. Now, a lot of shows nowadays, like the modern new Treks and, you know, things that shows like The Expanse, they tend to not lean towards the idealist view of space and space travel, space exploration. And they tend to lean towards the darker side of space. You know, you can die in space, it's so depressing, it's so dark, my God, the space is just an awful place to be. I don't know why you guys like to watch this kind of crap. That sort of thing. But the Orville looks at space and goes, you know what? There's wonders out there. There's beauty out there. We want to show you the beauty. And this episode does it in droves. There's beautiful alien vistas. There's beautiful nebulas. There's just awe-inducing scenes, visual effects and visual scenes that this episode just gives out, as I've said, in droves. And that's why I like this show. Now, Star Trek previously has done this countless times. There's been real beauty in Star Trek. Although Star Trek has ventured into the darker territories, the Orville has found, I think, a perfect balance this season. Now, when I say balance, I'm talking in regards to visuals of the show. Now, it's mentioned a lot that science fiction shows tend to find their feet in the third season, and I think the Orville has. However, it has sacrificed something. It sacrificed its comedy. It has gone from a comedy with elements of drama to a drama with little sprinkles of comedy here and there. This episode leaned towards the more serious side. There's very little levity in this episode. It was quite the emotional roller coaster. And it wasn't emotional for the sake of being emotional. It wasn't trying to tell you how to feel. It was simply telling a story and leaving you to feel what it is you felt. This episode centers around Topa, okay? Another Topa episode, Bortus and Grayson. There's a little hint that Bortus and Grayson may be getting close. At that point, it's not really something I want to see happen. However, you know, they're going to write it the way they're going to write it. I won't go too much into the plot, but the plot involves Topa being kidnapped by the Moclans and subjected to some pretty harsh torture. and that's where the show gets a little brave. Its balls have grown slightly. They do actually show some torture of this child. Now, it's not really something that I wanted them to show so much. They could have implied it. It really didn't need to be there, in my opinion. However, they did go there, and it's one of the moments that made me sort of sit upright in my chair going, they went there. It's not overly gruesome, but it is towards the end. Topa gets quite badly affected and injured. The episode deals with this entire situation on a couple of fronts, whereas you have Bortus and Grayson going after Topa in a hope to find her and get her out of this situation that she's in. The Orville is taking the diplomatic approach. We see the return of the character, the female Moclan character we saw earlier in this season and in season 1, and she's responsible for what is happening to Topa. And it's her opportunity to come clean about some things that she's been doing, some laws that she's been breaking. Again, I'm not going to go into too much detail. Watch the episode. It's well worth watching. There is a surprise appearance from, yes, I'm going to spoil it here. There is a surprise appearance in this episode of the Orville by Dolly Parton. Dolly Parton appears in this episode. It absolutely threw me. I didn't think they'd do it. I was thinking, nah, they wouldn't have Dolly Parton in this show. They have Dolly Parton in this show, and it is absolutely hilarious. It made me laugh. It made me smile. I'm not a big country music fan. I'm not a massive fan of Dolly Parton. To be fair, generally speaking, I'm not a massive fan of music. I enjoy music. I play music, or at least I attempt to. However, I did appreciate the appearance and the little musical number we got from her. It was quite refreshing to see. This episode had a great balance of drama and action. It had dogfighting with ships, it had shootout action, it had real drama, and the end scenes of this episode were incredibly moving. I did well up and got teary. I think it might be old age. I'm starting to well up at an awful lot of stuff. Now I'm starting to really love this show. I'm falling in love with this show all over again. Now I am gushing over it, but it's such a brighter show, and it's able to entertain you, and with great writing, great acting, great direction, great visuals, but it's also able to tell its story without lecturing you on what's good and what's bad. You can have any opinion you want with this show. It doesn't lecture you. It allows you to make up your own mind, and that's what I thought was great about Star Trek in general. This show has a very special place in my heart. It has a great series of stories to tell. The only concern that I'm having so far with this show, and no, it's not that it's not got any comedy. I can accept The Orville as a very serious sci-fi show with a few moments of levity. I can accept that. It's that they're limiting the amount of stories that they can tell. They're not introducing anything particularly new this season. It's much still on the Kalon and the Moclans, and they're trying to flush out a lot of stories by going into a lot of detail. In my opinion, I think they need to branch out a little bit more. I am hoping that there is a season 4 for this show coming up. I hope that everybody gets on board with it. I know it's an expensive show to make, but I think the money's been well spent. And on the money, to be fair, they could cut down the runtime of all the episodes to just 45 minutes if they took away all of that, what's known as ship porn and space porn. All the visuals, all the transitions, all the scenes with the ship moving, and if they cut out a lot of that and focused on just the character development, then it would be a much shorter show. There was a scene with Grayson and Bortus traversing the surface of this planet to get to this facility where Topa's being held, and I felt that went on just a little bit too long. There was a lot of walking scenes. I felt like I was watching Lord of the Rings, let's walk here, walk there, walk there. So they could have cut down the runtime, but in all honesty, it did work as an episode. It worked for me. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I hope you give it a chance. Go and watch it, and tell me what you think in the comments section. Speaking of, I realise that I've been a little bit slack with my comment section. I will be commenting a lot more now. I've gotten a really busy period out of the way, so I'm hoping to have some time to respond to your comments. So please do leave a comment in the comments section. If you like this video, then hit that like button, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you haven't yet subscribed to the channel and you like what I do here. It really helps the channel to grow, helps me out. And I will be back next week with another video of the Orville. Until then, you look after yourselves, you look after one another, you take care. Bye-bye for now.
I need the silence, stop the violence of the war in my head. Time's the healer, the eraser of all done and said. And as I fall back to my shelter, I know I'll